Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome to See Blissfully Lit podcast. I'm your host, Sammy, and today we have a very special guest with us. It's Rachel Hickey. I am very inspired by Miss Rachel, and it's such a pleasure to have you on here today. Rachel is actually a doctor, and she works on a team called Prana Physician. Rachel loves to attend different pranic healing events and spend time with her partner and her sweet, fluffy pets. She also enjoys volunteer work. Welcome, Rachel. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me on. Excited to be here.
Thank you so much. So before we dive in, I'd love for you to share what magic means to you and how it plays a role in your journey of life.
It's a very interesting question, and I don't know for sure how to answer it completely, but in terms of my life experience, I think part of what magic means to me is realizing that not everything can be known beforehand, and there's a lot of uncertainty in life. And just knowing that things will work out, even with all that uncertainty. I feel like there are certain decisions that have been made in my life that really didn't have a logical sense to them at the time, but they've allowed me to get to where I am now. So just very grateful for allowing that to happen.
Oh, that's intriguing. I've had similar experiences actually recently to that of almost trusting a very strange decision.
Yeah.
If you were to think of it on the top of your head, is there an example of one of these happenings from your life that you'd be open to sharing?
Yeah, well, one of the more recent ones has been where I am now with working with a team, working on Prana Physician. Like you mentioned, I'm trained as a doctor. I'm a trained naturopathic physician. And while going through school, of course, I was imagining a way of being after school that has completely changed now that I'm out and have been practicing for some years. And I initially started straight out of school as being a physician, as practicing medicine, and I have since transitioned to mostly utilizing that knowledge that I gained in school to help people in other ways, including with pranic healing and so forth.
And when you started school, was this what you pictured for yourself?
No, I didn't know about pranic healing when I started school. So I was originally way back planning on being a scientist. So I am trained, I have a master's in biochemistry and molecular biology, and I was getting my PhD. And at that time, my dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and my body was also experiencing what was Lyme disease, but I didn't know it at the time. And so a lot of things were coming to a head in my life, and there was kind of like a crossroads that I realized if I kept going where I was down the road I was going, I was just going to lead a miserable life. And I didn't want that. And around that time is when I found out about naturopathic medicine and completely kind of changed what I was planning on doing for the rest of my life. And I left with my master's, started medical school, and in my first quarter of medical school, I learned about pranic healing.
Wow. How at that time did pranic healing change your life?
Pranic Healing saved my life. So I originally was a client of Pranic Healing, receiving it. And at that time, I had found out that my body was experiencing Lyme disease. It had been experiencing it for over a decade. Lots of different symptoms all over my body, um, including neurological symptoms, which I had started to improve with like diet and various other things I was trying, but still very much present and affecting my day-to-day life. And then Pranic Healing came into my life, and within like a few sessions, I started seeing the light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing, where I felt like I was actually going to be able to get out of it and live a different life and be healthy.
Wow. How long ago was that? How many years, if you could guesstimate?
This was um this was 2017 when I started receiving Pranic Healing.
Wow.
Yeah, and within a year, no more symptoms and was um, the healthiest I'd ever been in my life, I feel at least.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so I attribute Pranic Healing to saving my life, and which is one reason why I'm so adamant about spreading it and talking about it. And um, I've seen so many miracles using it that it just is what I want to do.
Mhm. Well, from personal experience, I can say that you're very great at what you do.
Oh, thanks.
And uh also, I mean, with such a rich background with it and it making such an impact in your life, I can see where your passion shines through and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's incredible. Uh, on another note, could you describe an extraordinary experience or synchronicity that you've encountered, perhaps in your journey of pranic healing or maybe just in life in general?
An extraordinary experience or synchronicity. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
There are many potential stories that can be told. Uh, for some reason, one is coming to the forefront, and I'm not sure why, but the there was a when I first started practicing on my own as a doctor in my own practice, I had one of my first um, or I had a client or patient at the time, and they were experiencing they were out of work because they were experiencing chronic pain. Um, they had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia and um, had a lot of anxiety and fatigue with the condition. And it was one of those experiences of like um, trusting in like my experience, trusting in the tools, and they were interested in using pranic healing to help them. And what I learned in that experience is just how much someone's life can change. Like I knew I saw it for myself in my own experience, but like seeing it for someone else was it just kind of solidified that understanding, because as we went through the journey of using various tools, it wasn't just pranic healing. Um, like the pain went away. She was able to go back to work. Um, she does fitness classes, teaches fitness classes, and she was able to go back to work, and just her whole life flipped right side around again. And it was just those types of experiences, seeing those things happen, it just lights me up inside. And yeah, so that's the one that comes to mind. There are many other ones that are similar, but that was one of the first ones where it was just like just me. There was no one else like helping, and it was just really cool to like see that.
It is amazing to see transformation in people around you.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
those simple techniques. You mentioned that it wasn't just pranic healing.
Mhm. Yeah. So there were some dietary changes that were made, and homeopathy and some botanical medicine at the time. And within like a few months, she was able to get off of various medications she was on, like Cymbalta and gabapentin, which are pretty intense medications.
Yeah.
Um, just using those tools.
Wow. That's that's pretty amazing, especially when I've met many people. I previously worked in a doctor's office, and I met many people who lived with pain for like over 10 to 20 years of their lives and
Yeah.
were reliant on those medicines. And it's just incredible that you could help somebody to get off of them for good and just feel good in their body.
Yeah, absolutely. Like seeing things like that happen, it just really expands your mind of like what's possible.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Out of curiosity, is there a synchronicity, like a kind of like a jaw-dropping experience that you've had that really stands out in your life that just kind of shocked you?
There, I feel like I can go in two different directions. One that's not as happy, but I alluded to it earlier with my dad getting diagnosed with terminal cancer. And at this point in my life, and for a while now, I've actually been able to feel a lot of gratitude towards that situation. Of course, it was like one of the hardest, it was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life or go through. Um, but that experience and him going through what he went through is the reason why I'm now currently doing what I'm doing, and the reason why I changed careers. Um, and so even though like that moment of like finding out like what was happening and then being with him at the end and just like not knowing like the uncertainty of like the next step, um, that was that's probably one of the most jaw-dropping experiences I've had. And then on a positive note, as I was getting help with the Lyme disease, my body was experiencing a lot of chronic pain too, and it was not able to do a lot of things that like I would want to do in terms of activities, like physical activities. And at one point, one of my friends asked me if I wanted to go to on a hike. Um, it's called Angel's Landing. I don't know if you've heard of it. Um, it's in Utah, and I'm like blanking on the park for some reason. Zion National Park. And she didn't really tell me anything about the hike before doing it. And I was just like, this was I was feeling a lot better at this moment in time. And so I was like, sure, let's try it out. And so we we got to the hike and we started hiking up to the top. And I didn't know, but the last like half mile of the hike is all chains. Like you have to like hold on to a chain to like continue to the top of the mountain. And that would have just like not been possible like a year before maybe. And I got to the top and I was just like, oh my gosh, like that happened. Like I did that. Like it was amazing. And we ended up actually doing the Twin Hearts meditation at the top. Or the meditation on Twin Hearts at the top. And there was one other, because we did it at sunrise, and so there wasn't a lot of people. And there was one other person that had gotten up to the top at a similar time as we did, and he ended up doing the meditation with us.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So getting up to the top, seeing the view that and knowing like that may not have been able to happen previously was pretty jaw-dropping for me.
Only a year into it.
Mm-hmm.
And there you were introducing a random stranger on a hike.
Yes. And it was freezing. Like we were all so cold and like shaking and shivering, and we did a 20-minute meditation, and I was like, man, it's just kind of hilarious. Because then going back down on the chains, it's like you have to like hold on with your hands. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of funny looking back on it. I was like, that may have not been the greatest idea, but it was nice in the moment.
It made it such a special experience and memory for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was an awesome experience.
Well, thank you for sharing those very uh two unique and different correlating experiences
Yeah,
that really shaped who you are today.
yeah, absolutely.
It's intriguing how life can take us through the different ups and downs, and eventually we realize in reflection why those experiences happened, when in the moment sometimes we're flustered or really struggling and not seeing, like you said, the light at the end of the tunnel. Because I know I've had my fair share of experiences where like I don't even think I can see the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so amazing that you made it through that part of your life, and now there's, the sunlight every day.
Yes, it is. It's so it's nice to reflect on the different experiences that have happened and realizing that all of the tough ones eventually ended. Like the tough things um either like I grew from the experience or was able to like let it go or move on from whatever was happening or uh feel happy again when there was like a lot of time spent not feeling happy, and just realizing that over time like things do change. Like it is not that is a constant, it is a constant in life that things change, so that whenever like new struggles come up and appear, it's like that knowing of just, this isn't going to be forever is helpful, is very helpful in those times.
I found that very helpful too. I think at a younger age, I adopted the mindset of this is what I live in now, and this is forever. I see this every day. And since practicing pranic healing, and especially since utilizing um, certain services of cord cutting, even, it's a
Yeah.
lot easier to recognize situations and different feelings as temporary,
Mhm. Yeah.
and it's very refreshing.
Yeah. Being able to recognize what is like internally happening and what is externally happening is probably like the one of the biggest lessons someone can learn, especially someone who is like energetically sensitive to other people. That's been my experience. It's like realizing okay, what's mine? Like, am I actually feeling this emotion because something that's going on in my life, or am I just like sensing something that's happening with someone else? Um, I grew up not knowing the difference, and So that being able to figure that out now is like super, super helpful.
Yeah. I also relate, and I'm reshaping my sense of who I am from that, because a lot of it was sensing other people's experiences and
Mhm.
thoughts and emotions, and wow, this is who I am. It's not that thought loop.
Yeah, that's just a thought loop. It's just energy. I know it's kind of unbelievable sometimes when you realize like how hard something was in the past and you think back now and you're like, man, if I had these tools that I have now at that time, man, that would have gone so much easier. But it just makes you so much more grateful for what you now have access to.
Yeah, it's incredible, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Um, I've utilized the ECM services for a little over a year now,
Mhm.
and it's drastically changed my life. Like, I remember being, I think, a teenager, and I had this big dream of leaving the state and moving out to California and like studying my master's degree out there. And somehow that morphed and crumbled up, and I ended up in a completely different path. I got married and was working some jobs out here. And over the last year, it's actually brought me back to myself, and my dreams were reignited. And I'm not going out there for a master's degree, but I'm actually moving out to California.
And that's amazing. I'm so excited for you.
Like fearlessly, and it's amazing.
It is amazing.
And then I'm actually recognizing, when a loved one's a little bit worried or concerned versus my own like inner fears.
Mhm.
It's so helpful.
It is. It's so helpful. It sounds like that desire and that like goal of yours never really went away, but it was just like clouded by potentially like other people's expectations or judgments or opinions. And it was hard to see like what was actually your path that you're supposed to take.
Yeah, it's amazing. For our listeners, could you possibly explain what ECM is? I know
Yeah.
it's
So
a program that Prana Physician does.
yeah. So ECM or energetic connections maintenance is our one of our services, and we have it basically the process is removing unwanted connections, and these connections can be to other people, places, things, thoughts, emotions, and it can just be preventing someone from moving forward with their lives because they're all just like clouding clarity. And so as you remove these unwanted connections, the person receiving, um, at least like from our experience, like my own experience, from the members that we have experienced, that we've heard from what you just said,
Mhm.
um, we've heard that people are finally able to just like figure out what they want
Mhm.
and have clarity around their current situation and be able to think clearly and move forward in their life in whatever way that makes sense for them because they're no longer just like feeling scattered or like being pulled in many different directions all at once.
Thank you.
Mm.
And I will have a link in the description for this service if you're interested in looking into it more. Um, it'll be clearly described, and feel free to check it out. It's also something that you can gift to other people, and you can really change somebody's life.
Yeah, actually over half of our members have been gifted the membership by someone else. So a lot of our members have seen so much benefit for themselves that they've gifted to like their family members or referred to people they are their loved ones or people they know. So we've realized that we didn't realize going into it that it was such a needed service. Honestly, like it was originally just meant for the team. Like it was done for the team. And we were noticing changes in our own lives with it being done consistently, that we were like, I wonder if like other people would be interested in this. And so we like opened it to like 10 people, and then they were like all had amazing experiences and gave us like all this great feedback. And we're like, okay, maybe more people will be interested. And so we just kept kind of like opening it up more and more just to see like, okay, is this a real thing? Like, do people really like need this or want this, or is it going to like actually transform someone's life? And so we just kept opening up to more and more people, and now there's like over 300 people receiving ECM, and the feedback has been just really amazing to hear. And yeah, so it's been a wonderful ride on our end.
And it's so simple. It's just a simple technique that we learned in, I believe, level 1 pranic healing. I
So
mean, to an extent, I know it's a little bit different on your end, but if you think about it, it's a simple idea.
yeah, yeah, the idea is simple. The technique is there is a variation of the technique that's done in like level 1 pranic healing. The technique that is being utilized for the service is um variation, a different technique. And it seems to get to not just like cutting the connections, like but also um like dissolving the cord as well.
That's incredible. For those who don't understand what exactly is being described, um, a cord is essentially an energetic connection between you and another person. Um, and you can learn more about this in Miracles Through Pranic Healing. You can also get any other pranic healing books, and I believe that they'll probably describe it a little bit better for you. But with a basic understanding of those who don't practice and don't know anything about it. So on another note, I'm curious, aside from the ECM, do you have any other daily practices or rituals that you find essential in staying connected and inspired?
That's a good question. So personally, uh, every day when I wake up, I do an invocation. And of course, what I do can be very different than what other people can do, but it's essentially just invoking or praying. And I notice on days that I like forget to do it, that the morning seems a little bit more scattered and just like don't necessarily know exactly what I need to be doing, if that makes sense. Like it seems like I'm just not as focused.
Yeah.
And so I find that even just that simple thing, just kind of aligning myself with like an overall purpose and an overall goal in life, um, is really helpful to navigate the day. Um, I'd say that's like the most consistent, like everyday same practice, if that makes sense. And then throughout the week, there's various other things, including like different meditations, breathing exercises, physical exercises. Not everything is done daily, like in like a um, strict routine, but it's done throughout the week. And that I think overall just keeps me on track as well, and having enough energy to do everything that needs to be done, everything that I want to be doing. It allows me to do that. I think those would be like the main things of like a quote unquote routine, or what kind of keeps me going.
Kind of your non-negotiable
Mm-hmm.
parts of your day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I relate to the invocation, or, sometimes I just do like a morning gratitude sort of
Mhm.
practice. I like to do that in the morning and the evening. And
Yes.
it seems to make a huge difference. Even in
Yeah,
the impact of sleep quality. It can be really
agree.
huge, which is just incredible.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, it is part of the evening routine as well. That's a good point. I mentioned it as the morning, but it's part of the evening, like morning and evening. So right when you wake up, or at least within the first like 15 minutes, I should say. And then before getting into bed, it's kind of like a end cap as well to the day.
Yeah. And if you think about it, I mean that kind of gives you that time to reflect on your day. And then in the morning you kind of set your kind of like at the beginning of a yoga class, like you set your intention for your day, you set your intention for your yoga class. I always guide my students through that intention setting. So
Mhm.
you, like you said, you have your focus, but you kind of have like your clarity throughout the day. And I don't know, it kind of just starts you off on a good foot rather than, oh, I woke up and my neck's all stiff.
Right. Or like I'm feeling anxious, or it's like it's getting you out of, or at least it gets me out of um the lower energies that might be affecting me in the moment. Like if, like you said, waking up and maybe you had a not so great dream, or like you woke up in a weird position, or like you have a stressful meeting happening that day or something. It just kind of gets you out of that. Like it allows you to focus on something higher than those little things.
Yeah, and they don't seem so big anymore.
Right.
I found with just my regular practice with meditation and kind of some of the changes to the way that I think about things, tasks that I used to think were huge just seem like this really fun opportunity anymore.
Awesome.
I used to think of it as like this challenging, scary, event that I would worry all week about. And
Yeah.
now it's just
Yeah.
like, this is this fun thing that I get to be involved in. How fun.
Yeah, I mean, it actually goes to even this conversation and being on a podcast for me, at least, because past Rachel, like years ago, this type of thing would cause a lot of stress. Like, I would know exactly the date it was happening, when it was happening. I would want to know exactly what we'd be talking about, like leading up to the actual podcast happening. I would be like just like overthinking like what was going to happen, what do I want to say, like just like kind of almost freaking out, so to speak. And I realized that this week I looked at my calendar and I was like, oh yeah, that's happening on Thursday. And it was just like, oh, like none of that happened this time. I was just like, okay, that's great.
Yeah, it's just a fun event that we get to enjoy together.
Exactly. But it was interesting, like having that reflection and noticing that in the past that would have been um like a stressor. And then now it's just like, yeah, I get to have a conversation with someone I want to talk to.
Yeah, it's amazing how simple changes in your mindset and the way you think can just tap into this more pure, fulfilled being each and every
Mhm.
day.
Yeah, definitely.
So, as we begin to wrap up, could you share a piece of advice for listeners who are at the start of their magical and transformative journey? Perhaps maybe even they don't even realize that they're at the start of it. Maybe they're just kind of in this place of non-movement and challenge.
Mhm. So two things come to mind. One being it's not all or nothing. So a lot of times, myself included, when making a change or wanting to do something new, um, I can tend to, or could tend to like jump 100% like in it, and then not be able to sustain that like over time. So it's like, for example, say you're like, I now want to meditate. And so then you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to meditate every day for an hour or like something like that. And you do it for the first day and you're like, oh, this feels amazing. And then the second day you do it and you're like, oh, okay, this feels great. And then the third day you miss it because it was a busy day and like you couldn't get to it. And you didn't want to do 5 minutes because you had promised yourself an hour. So then you just didn't do it at all. And so then it gets harder to do it the fourth day and then you so forth. And just realizing that it doesn't have to be that complicated. You can start really small and just like build one habit at a time. And so, and it doesn't have to be a daily thing at the beginning. So like say you want to do meditation, you could do 5 minutes of meditation 3 times a week. Like it doesn't have to be an hour every day. Whatever the thing is that you want to change or start something new, like it doesn't have to be all or nothing. That would be my first piece of advice. Because that can make it really hard to get back to if you miss like a day or two. So setting manageable expectations for yourself can allow you to make longer lasting, sustainable changes.
That's great advice.
And then on this journey, it can be easy to be really hard on yourself. So a lot of times before we kind of step on like a healing journey or spiritual journey or something, we tend to be unaware of things about ourselves or about other people or about how we interact with other people. And those, we start to become more aware of who we are. And sometimes there are things that happen, mistakes get made, and it can be really easy to just ruminate over those things now that you're like aware of them and think like, oh, like I must be a bad person. Like go to the extreme. It's like I must be a bad person because I still made this mistake, even though I know better. But that's not the case. It's just now you have more awareness, so it feels worse than it really is. And the whole point of life, really, I mean, I don't know about the whole point, but a big point of life is to grow and evolve and to learn from your mistakes. So the only way to do that is to make mistakes. So then after they are made, learning from them and moving on. And realizing that over time, like mistakes still get made. It's not like you're going to be perfect overnight, or even over multiple nights. So just understanding that it's a journey and there will be ups and downs, and that's okay.
Yes. That's such a good reminder to even myself, reflecting on choices being made and decisions. And I know I was always I still probably am the most critical of myself with any and all decisions that I make.
We tend to be our own worst critic.
And I'm always reminding, friends and family of that when I notice them doing the same thing that I've seen in myself. Because a lot of the time you pick through every little bit of your life with like a needle, and other people just don't even notice it and they don't care. Not in a bad way, but they just don't care.
Yeah, they're focused on their own needle picking.
And I think it's finding that realization, and recognizing that it doesn't matter as much. Still, wanting to be a good person, make a difference in the world, and make things better than they were when you first arrived. But also just being easy with yourself. One practice that's really helped me is the forgiveness practice, self-forgiveness. And
Yeah.
I commonly will just find myself doing that in the middle of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that technique and that practice is a wonderful practice to implement on a daily basis, especially for those people who are like more on the like high achieving, have a high achieving nature and perfectionism comes out and all of those kind of things. Um, and also just making the realization or the difference between like reflecting on something, like self-reflecting and learning from mistakes, and like self-reproach and just like being hard on yourself. They are two different things. Like you can observe a mistake, realize that it was a mistake, and think about what you want to do differently if something like that were to happen again. That's
Mhm.
like reflection. But the reproach or like the being hard on yourself or the self-criticism is where you don't observe it, you're just in it, like you just are in the mistake still and you just think about it over and over and over again and no real change happens. And so what can happen if we get into that loop or that state is that we can just repeat the same mistake because that is where our mind is at. Our mind is just reliving it over and over again. So then we actually do relive it in the physical world as well.
That's a really helpful way of interpreting it, because it just ignites me to think about, okay, how do I reflect on what I did yesterday?
Yeah,
Or that situation like 3 years ago.
absolutely. I've talked to many people and it seems it's unclear for a lot of people the difference between self-reflection and self-criticism.
Yeah,
And there's a big difference.
that's huge. It could make a very big impact on many people's lives, just to recognize that difference in reflection,
Mhm.
transform the way they think moving forward, and kind of break that loop.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, out of curiosity, what is your next big aspiration on your journey of conscious transformation?
That's a great question. And I mean, I'm currently working on spreading ECM more. Um, like we discussed earlier, that has been such a like serendipitous creation. Um, and seeing how much impact it can have on other people and for like a affordable price point um, is just huge. And so that's kind of been a recent, or not a recent, I mean a recent in the recent past goal of like figuring out how to really um, tell more people about it.
Yeah, change more lives.
Change more lives. Yeah. Help people help people.
It's a big domino effect. If you break people out of these loops, there's going to be more change in people's lives, more creativity, more exploration, and embracing the self,
Mhm.
whatever that looks
Because
like.
yeah, and like ultimately change, um, real change happens in many ways, but one way being with changing ourselves, like our ability to look inward and um, figure out what we want our life to be, how we want to live our life, what kind of people we want to be. And if we're able to really commit to that and not be bombarded by outside influences all the time, then the world can change because we change ourselves.
Yeah. And we start living in our own path
Yeah.
and creating our own path.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts or words of wisdom for our listeners today?
I don't think so. I think just I think what was said was probably how I would like to end it, and just remembering that it's not all or nothing, and there will be ups and downs in it, and that's okay, and not to just ruminate over past mistakes. I think just reiterating those points.
Thank you, Rachel.
Okay.
Truly inspiring, and honestly, all that you're working on is bound to transform so many lives. It already has. And I'm really seeing the difference in so many people, so many friends and acquaintances that I even know. And it's really
Awesome. Thanks for saying that. It's wonderful to hear and see the impact that um, things are happening.
yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So before we close out, I will
Mhm.
do a brief meditation just to bring our listeners together and just find a little peace in our days before we set back into whatever we are destined to be doing today. So, for those of you who are listening in a car, driving, operating heavy machinery, please do not participate. You can pause at this point and you can participate later, play it back, stay safe. For those of you who are not, find a comfortable seated position. Perhaps if your legs are crossed, uncross them. Find the floor with your feet. Find that stability. And if you'd like to, you can close your eyes or bring a soft gaze. And just recognize your pelvis sitting on whatever surface you are on. Recognizing the pelvis as a bowl, perhaps like a bowl of water. And recognizing that you are seated on that bowl, and that bowl is facing upward. We're balancing that water in the bowl. And as you recognize this sensation, your spine slowly starts to raise up. An imaginary line just pulls up through the crown of your head. Feel your spine elongating. Feel that balance in your pelvis. And feeling down through the soles of the feet, feel that connection with the earth. And moving to the crown of the head, feeling that imaginary line just pulling up, 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 making your spine nice and long. And bringing your awareness to the surface of your body. And just recognizing any sensations without judgment. And just noticing different parts of the body. Parts that feel great, maybe parts that are holding, just recognizing them. Now bring your awareness to your breath. Are we inhaling into the chest or the belly? Deepen your inhale into your belly. Taking longer, deeper breaths. And sighing out through the mouth. With each breath, just recognizing your body filling up with fresh air, fueling all of your cells, all of your muscles, all of your bones. And just imagining your breath as a white light, filling up all parts of your being, growing lighter and brighter with each breath. and letting it all go. And just allow everything to soften. Allow your breath to regulate, returning to a normal flow. And just bring your awareness to your breath, recognizing the rise and the fall of the chest. Feeling the softness between each breath. Just allowing yourself to float in that softness, that calm state. And gently bring your awareness back to the surface of your body, recognizing those parts once more, noticing any difference from the start until now. Bring your awareness to the crown of the head, that imaginary line flowing down to the pelvis, that bowl of water, and feeling those roots of light through the soles of the feet, holding you strong and steady. Feeling this connection from the crown of the head through the feet, your stability, your foundation. And gently, slowly open your eyes with a big, big smile. Thank you all for joining today. Get up and find some movement before you embark upon your next transformative journey. Thank you so much for joining me today, Miss Rachel.
Thank you for having me.
And to all of you listeners, stay blissful. Such a pleasure to have you.